about Abrego Garcia.
I'm Ben Thomas. The KMOX Business Desk, President Trump showing more frustration with Fed Chair Jerome Powell over interest rates.
In a social media post, the president writes Powell's termination cannot come fast enough, hinting at moving to fire Powell before his term expires next year. The president's tariffs have boosted recession and inflation fears, and he appears to be trying to blame Powell, saying he should have lowered interest rates long ago. His post comes a day after Powell told the Economic Club of Chicago that the Fed will hold off on policy changes until seeing the impacts of the president's tariffs and will not bow to political pressure.
We will do what we do strictly without consideration of political or any other extraneous factors.
Powell notes the Fed's independence is protected by law.
We're not removable except for cause. We serve very long terms, seemingly endless terms.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The Dow from Stifel down 276 points to 39,392. We've got some road work on 364 going east at 6440. That's got the right lane closed. There's a crash on 6440 going east at Grand. That's on the right shoulder. And we've also got some road work on 55 going south at Lindbergh. That's got all the lanes open there, but watch out for the workers.
Partly sunny, windy, and warmer this afternoon, high 77. Partly cloudy, breezy, and very mild tonight, though 66. Tomorrow, some sun followed by clouds, breezy and quite warm with a late-day thunderstorm, high 85. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning and Electrical, 65 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
In the 70s, baseball player Jerry Kelly decided to do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
This year, the company Jerry started decided we'd do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, and Electrical.
And electrical.
JerryKelly.com. This is the Gashouse Gang on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1120 AM, 104.1 FM. KMOX.
With an 0-2 pitch coming up for Yainer Diaz. The runner goes for second. The pitch is lined to right field. Right to Victor Scott. He makes the catch for a Redbird winner. The Cardinals take 2 out of 3 from the Houston Astros and set off the fireworks in downtown St. Louis. A final today of 4-1 over Houston.
Well, there you go. The Cardinals take 2 of 3. They have a successful homestand, winning 4 of the 6 games they play. And they are now in New York to begin a series against the Mets tonight. It is the Gashouse Gang. We are with you until 1 o'clock. Bernie Miklas and Chris Ranji. Kyle McClellan is going to join the show today as well for a little bit. We'll talk some Birds baseball with him. He also has his podcast, which you need to get on. He's been doing it for a while, the Chatters Box. Really good podcast, and he is starting that back up for the upcoming season. Or the current season that is ongoing. Bernie, there you go. Cardinals, after what was underwhelming against the Angels and the Pirates, and, just after that great start in the home opener against the Twins, they've done this. Coming back, they've gotten back to 500, and everything right now, at least lately, seems to be working for them. I think we've lost Bernie Miklas, but this is we're trying to establish a connection with him. But what they are doing right now is they are pitching well.
Okay, let's try it again.
They are hitting well.
I don't know.
Right now, statistically, the Cardinals are in one of the top 3 or 4 positions in all of baseball in terms of offensive statistics. The only one that they're not really there right now is in home runs. They are right sort of in the middle.
Can you hear me?
Right sort of in the middle of Major League Baseball. And I would say that if there's anything that you're looking at when it comes to the numbers, the one thing that I would want for them to do better is to get those power numbers up comparative to other teams in baseball. Because what you will find at the end of the season is a lot of the competitive teams, those that are either in the postseason or knocking on the door of the postseason, a lot of those teams hit a lot of home runs. That's just the simple fact. And it's not the only way to win a game, but if you're hitting a lot of home runs, what it means is you're going to ultimately score a ton of runs, which is going to translate to winning a lot of ball games. But all the other numbers, they look pretty good right now. If you want to get really in the weeds with the analytics and the more advanced numbers and that sort of thing, isolated numbers, isolated power numbers look good. On base percentage, they are the best team in baseball at getting on base right now. I honestly, looking at the season before it started, that is not what I thought was going to happen here. And I know that Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado were not going to be necessarily the focal points and had not been, at least for the last season or so. They hadn't been what they typically were, right? You expected the absolute bulk of the offense to come from those two guys because we're talking about MVP caliber players who just weren't quite the same. So I didn't think going into this season, it is a situation where whatever you get from Arenado is you'll need it. You'll need for him to hit. You're going to need some offense from him. But I don't think the expectation is that he has to carry the offense. And you lose Goldschmidt for the season because he's with the Yankees now. But it is a thing where right now they are getting it for the most part up and down the lineup, which is really, really good news. They have spread it out. And they're doing this when Wilson Contreras has not been a huge contributor offensively. He just hasn't been. And he right now is the best offensive player on the team, or at least he's supposed to be. The numbers are supposed to be coming from him primarily. And I think they're going to. He's not somebody that I really worry about. But when you look at all the offensive numbers, and in base running, they're not a particularly good team, but the other stuff, getting on base and the weighted on base, if you follow statistics like that, and batting average, they are right there at the top or near the top of the National League or Major League Baseball in all of those categories, which is very, very important. We want to hear from you throughout the afternoon here on the Gashouse Gang. 314-436-7900. We're trying to work out our connection with Bernie Miklas, who is on the show with us every Thursday. As I mentioned, Kyle McClellan will be on the show as well. We're going to talk some Cardinals baseball with him. We have an Odyssey app, which you can listen to this show. You can listen to Cardinals baseball. You can listen to KMOX up and down the lineup. And what you do is there's a little button that says send a message. You tap that button, you record your message to us and send it to us, and we will try to answer your question. Of course, we are also streaming online from the KMOX Sports account. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at KMOX Sports. And you can send comments there. We like to get to some of your comments and read those and answer your questions as well. The Gashouse Gang is with you until 1 o'clock today. Going to have Bernie Miklas with me, Chris Ranji, on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game. It's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
There is no better way to enjoy America's favorite pastime than cheering on the Cardinals with your family at Busch Stadium. From the thrill of watching the game to the kid-friendly activities, food, and fun, the ballpark has it all. Make magical memories as you cheer together for every home run, double play, and Cards win. Your family's summer tradition starts here at Busch Stadium. Grab your tickets today at Cardinals.com. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-969-0686 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
I'm Danny Cohn, CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. I want to share a bit about Passover, especially for those who may have friends, neighbors, or coworkers observing this meaningful Jewish holiday. Passover tells the story of Moses and the Israelites' journey from slavery to freedom in ancient Egypt. It is a time for family, reflection, and honoring traditions passed down through generations. Many families gather for a Seder, a special meal filled with symbolism and questions that spark conversation and learning. No matter what you celebrate this season, appreciating each other's cultures and traditions helps us build a more connected, compassionate St. Louis. So from our Jewish community to yours, Happy Easter, Ramadan Mubarak, and Chag Pesach Sameach. Happy Passover.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-million. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
You asked, we delivered. KMOX, now on FM. Crystal clear sound at 104.1 FM.
Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM. It is Bernie Miklasz and Chris Ranji. Bernie, the Cardinals are back to 500. I suppose you take that at this point of the year. And it's really encouraging to see them hitting, producing runs the way they have been, and especially doing so, right, but really from the start of the season.
Yeah, they've had a few tough games, but every team has. And, what I like about them is, they have scored wins and hit very well against four aces so far. Lopez from the Twins, and Nola and Wheeler from the Phillies, and Valdez from the Astros. And they're just taking the quality of their at-bats is so much higher than it was last year, the year before that, where they really never had an approach. I have no idea what they were thinking in terms of keeping their batting coach around. But they hired the right guy in Brant Brown, and he has clearly made a difference. It's one of those things that the players are going to have to stay in these good habits. They're going to have to keep at it. But the whole key to this offense has been, a really specific plate approach that's been tailored to each individual hitter. But the team overall has got a new hitting philosophy, which is to get ahead in counts and then punish strikes, and they're doing that very well. The thing that I have been most impressed with over the last 9 games, Cardinals starting pitchers have about a 1.80 ERA, and they had a 1.25 ERA in the homestand, and they were really, really, really good. Now that pitching staff got beat up during the Angels series and the Red Sox series, but they were great against the Twins, and then they were great against the Pirates and the Phillies and the Astros. So I think the starting pitching is sort of under the radar good, because their numbers just got blown up by 2 or 3 really bad games. Other than that, they've been, really impressive. And I think that's a very encouraging sign.
Yeah, and it's encouraging that they're getting innings out of the starters, because when we talked about this last Tuesday, just looking at where they were, they were near the bottom of baseball, and bottom 5 or 6 in terms of how many innings they were getting out of starting pitching. but they've done so well in that regard over the last week that has bumped up to put them, just better than average. So they're getting those innings now, and it is important that they are getting those innings because you're creating less stress for the bullpen, which will wear down. By the time you get to August, those guys will be toast if they're not getting good innings out of the starters.
I mean, it is a cause and effect there. It's a direct relationship. The bullpen's been much better as of late as well. The first time through this 6-man rotation, which was completed, you can say was completed yesterday with Steven Matz. In those 6 games, the Cardinals starting pitchers averaged 6 innings pitched. Now, the old timers will fuss about that because they want it to be 1968 again. And I get it. I would like to see starters pitch 7 or 8 innings myself. But the game has changed. It's never going to go back to what it was. And so if you can reliably, dependably, consistently get 6 innings from a starter, that's doing a really good job. And I apologize that it's not 1968. But that represents a good job in today's baseball.
Yeah, no, the game is totally different, and that's okay. That's one of those things that doesn't bother me. Certainly, it would be cool if 8-9 innings was the norm, but it doesn't have to be, and I don't think it makes the game better. In fact, I think it makes it more exciting when a pitcher does get into the 8th inning now or throws a complete game because it's an accomplishment, and it's okay for that to be an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's a really good point. But it's just so weird because I'm with you. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I accept things for the way they are. I don't live in the past, and I judge it based on what the standards are right now. So I'm like you. It doesn't bother me. But I tell you what, it is interesting because like we had a situation, as you know, when Eric Fetty was on the mound in Pittsburgh, and he had a no-hitter through 6 innings, and people were going absolutely bananas because he got pulled from the game. Well, Eric Fetty had 4 walks in that game, and he was really straining. I mean, I know they didn't get a hit off of him, but he was working really hard because he was throwing a lot of pitches, and there was a lot of people. I mean, a lot of great at bats against him, and he was pretty much gassed after 6 innings. So he was never going to pitch a complete game. So I'm not sure why people were hung up on the no-hitter part. But the best thing that a manager, I don't care who Eric Fetty was pitching for, the best thing a manager can do is protect his own starting pitchers. Because how would Eric Fetty bounce back if the manager was on some flight of fancy, said, well, I'm going to give a chance to pitch a no-hitter? What would he have in the tank the next time out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People just not enough people take that stuff into consideration.
This YouTube comment asks, what evidence is there that 5 innings every 5 days is more effective than 6 innings every 6 days or more resistant to injury? And I think it's a fair question, Bernie, but
don't have time to explain it now.
Yeah.
It's a very long answer. It's complicated. I don't have a set of facts here. So, but common sense would tell a person that if you can consistently get 6 innings from your starters consistently, it's less of a strain on your bullpen.
Well, I think what's true is most teams don't do it. And one of the reasons they don't do it is because most teams don't have 6 effective starters. And and this isn't to say that the Cardinals, if we revisit this in the middle of May or even in June, that they will have 6 effective starters.
Right.
Right now they've got it. Right now it's working over a couple of turns in the rotation, but that doesn't mean it's going to continue. And then they will have to adjust.
Yeah, but there's, I've been doing a lot of reading on this, and the 6-man rotation. I have a more positive outlook on that than I did even recently, because a lot of it is when you see the interesting things. The Cardinals don't have starting pitching depth. I mean, they've got one guy in Memphis, Michael McGreevy, who right now would be worthy of being in a rotation. All these other guys are getting hurt or they're off to terrible starts down there, except for Tekoa Roby. He's not quite ready. The point being, there are studies, and you can find them in a lot of different places. The starting pitchers are at most risk of injury in spring training in the first month to 6 weeks of a season. I don't know whether they're just adjusting to competition, and it's a lot more. The work is harder once you start to play in regular season games. Obviously, the weather's cold. The weather doesn't help you. You're probably having to sort of gut it through a lot of these starts. That's when most of a very large percentage of the injuries occur. Relatively early in the season. So if you space these guys out and they start every fifth day rather than every fourth day, you're giving them a better chance to avoid injury, and the numbers show that. And by the way, the number of the percentage of starts that are made with 5 days rest, it has been increasing every single year in Major League Baseball, and it went up quite a bit in 2025. So the Cardinals aren't doing anything wacky here. They're not trying to do a cute look at us. We're forward thinking. No, they're actually being pragmatic. But I don't expect people to understand it. I really don't. I think the reasons why they're doing this make sense. When I say that, though, am I predicting it'll be a great success? No, because it's still relatively more kind of an experimental thing. Would I put money on the 6-man rotation being, oh, you can take that to the bank all year? No. But the reasons why they're doing it are sound, because if they would suffer, the more starters you can keep healthy, the less jeopardy you'll be in terms of, what do we do now? We got 3 guys hurt. We have no starting pitching depth. There's only one guy down in Memphis who could start. So there is logic in their thinking, but there's always going to be the smartest people in the room that think they know better, and that's fine. Baseball fans are entitled to think that.
And I share the concern that a lot of people have. I know, Bernie, you have it. I have it. Tom's got it. And anytime we talk about Miles Michaelis, who did pitch well his last time, it was a 5-inning outing, which is, okay. You want a little bit more out of him, but I am concerned about what he'll be long-term for the season. I don't know how effective he's going to end up being. As far as the 6-man goes, though, you just do it until it doesn't work anymore. I don't have any problem with the way they're handling this right now.
Well, and that's the other thing, and I'm glad you brought that up. They don't plans. Nothing is in the plans. They've said nothing. In fact, they said the exact opposite. This isn't like we're going 6-man rotation. They're saving it for when they are in very, very busy parts of the schedule where there are no days off. That kind of grind your starters their day of rest. But once they days off back in, and I think Ali Marmol's in May, they have every Thursday off in May.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to go with the 6-man rotation, and they won't. They'll go back to, I assume, Matt's in the bullpen. A lot of us would say, well, put Michaelis in the bullpen, but I don't think Michaelis can pitch in relief. We know that Matt's can.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him out there.
No. So that's the deal. There are people that, like the person who from YouTube, there are people that just assume the Cardinals are like locked into this. No. This is through a really busy patch of schedule where there are no days off here for a while.
Let's get to this question from Nick, who is watching on YouTube. Wants to know if right now Contreras and the struggles is it a mental thing with him in the second spot of the order, or could it be a slump or possible decline? That's from Nick in Salt Lake City. I don't think it's a decline. He's too young for him to be declining. I just think it's a bad start to the season. I really don't have much concern about him, Bernie.
And he's hitting the ball hard. I know people don't want to hear that, but he is, and that's a good sign. But he's also had too many swings and misses, and his plate discipline has been off. I think he just got off to a bad start. I think he was pressing. I think he was trying to do too much. I do think it was getting to him. And when Ali Marmol moved him out of the 2-hole, he did start to hit better. Now, is that a coincidence, or is there something to that? I think there could be something to that, simply because I watch a lot of really smart managers through the years when they have a really good hitter and they move him up in the lineup, and he's not doing well, and he's pressing and he's pressing and he's pressing. Paul Goldschmidt, great example last year. Ollie Marmol finally moved him out of the 2 or 3 spot, moved him down more like 5th or 6th. And Goldie kind of relaxed, took some of the pressure off, and he really put up good numbers. I would say Contreras it's kind of like that with him. I would, when possible, I think it would be better to bat him a little lower. It doesn't mean he's a head case. It's just like any other hitter who's feeling stressed out. Sometimes, when they're sort of their own worst enemy, sometimes you just take a little bit of the heat off by moving them down.
Yeah.
The Contreras has always had a couple weird things in his hitting profile. Like his numbers, this is just the 2 years in St. Louis. His numbers offensively when he was a catcher were much, much better than his numbers when he was a designated hitter. I can't explain that either. It doesn't make any sense.
Except it's a much bigger sample, probably.
Yeah.
That might be it.
But he had a lot of DH at bats, and I don't know. I don't know whether the fact that he's competing, he's behind the plate, his head is in the game the entire time. I don't know. It's a little bit of a riddle, but I think it's way too early to start talking about decline.
That's Bernie Miklas. I'm Chris Ranji. When we come back on the Gashouse Gang, we're going to talk to former pitcher Kyle McClellan. He is also the host of The Chatter's Box, which is a podcast that happens through the Cardinal season. We'll get his take on the sixth-man rotation and more. Kyle McClellan next on the Gashouse Gang.
At Odyssey, we believe in creating a diverse and inclusive workforce. We also value the power of community and encourage local organizations to help us in referring qualified applicants to our stations. If you're a community organization interested in receiving our vacancy information, simply email equalemployment@odyssey.com. You'll be notified of all our open positions. That's equalemployment@odyssey.com. And for all our listeners, please visit odysseyinc.com/careers for a list of job openings at all Odyssey radio stations.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions. So it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
O'Reilly. Need a little help? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Need advice? We've got advice. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Exceptional customer service. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
It is 68 degrees in St. Louis. We are approaching a high of 77. The rain appears to be out of the area, at least for a while. This weather is brought to you by Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. PennMutual.com/STL. At Penn Mutual, we believe that life insurance is the central part of a sound financial plan and that it can make an enduring impact for generations to come. Talk to your independent advisor or go to PennMutual.com/STL. Penn Mutual, trusted for life.
Herman's Hermits, starring Peter Newton.
Something tells me I'm into something good.
And the Lovin' Spoonful. Do you believe in magic? Saturday, October 25th at the Family Arena with the Hollies' greatest hits, starring Terry Sylvester. Get tickets now at the Carroll House Furniture box office, located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Herman's Hermits, starring Peter Newton and the Lovin' Spoonful.
Get ready for BTO live in concert. Bachman Turner Overdrive with special guests Zebra and Aldo Nova. Roll on down the Highway 2025 tour. Saturday, August 30th, the Family Arena. A night of vintage PTO. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House Furniture Box Office, located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Don't miss Bachman Turner Overdrive.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Today, the Cards, the Mets,
and the Total Access 515.
Cardinals Radio, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX every weekday 12 to 1. Bernie Miklas and Chris Ranji. On Tuesdays, we talk to manager Ollie Marmol, who's with us for about a half hour, and he is very candid in his conversations with us. So that is every Tuesday starting at 12. Now we go to the guest line, and we bring in former Cardinals pitcher and host of the Chatter's Box podcast this week, or the most recent episode. He talks to Larry Walker. And Kyle McClellan is with us now, also the founder and president of Brace for Impact. He is joining the show now. How's it going, Kyle?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Hey, we're doing okay.
Well.
Yeah, we're watching this Cardinals team, which we spoke about the offense, and we can do that with you too. But in terms of pitching, the starters and really top to bottom over this last week, the 4-2 homestand, they've looked pretty good, Kyle.
Yeah, really good. The first time around, the rotation looked outstanding. Second time, you had a few bumps, right? And then it looks like they're back on track now again. If the offense keeps, doing what they're doing, it's going to give you some room for error and, gives the starters an opportunity to kind of to grow and establish themselves as being a big part of this team. So far, it's been a fun team to watch, and they've been playing, they've been winning, quite a few big games here, and get this trip underway here with New York and Atlanta is going to be a test for them early on, but I like where they're at the beginning of the season for sure.
Kyle, Bernie Miklas, really great to talk with you, man. Really great to talk with you. But I guess we're part of the same team a little bit anyway, so it's good to know that. I want to ask you this because we were having a discussion, and there's been a lot of discussion because the Cardinals, at least through this really tough grind of schedule where there aren't a lot of days off, then they're going to go with 6 starters to make sure everyone gets that extra day. And then they're going to switch back when the schedule lightens up. What do you think of that? The way pitching is today, do you think starters, when it can be done, do they benefit from the extra day's rest?
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially like having an off day built in there, right? So you're having somebody take that where guys are able to, maybe get a day off, take advantage of that early in the season. You're going to have stretches in the year, and usually it happens late in the season, where, maybe have a rain out or two that they end up making up. And now you look and you're like, man, we got a 20, 21, 22 game stretch where we don't have an off day. And those innings are piling up on those starters, and it makes it tough. So I think it's smart to keep them fresh. Look, if you go back to Tony La Russa's days when he'd manage, there was no set, he never said it, but you could see it, right? So he would take his aces, Chris Carpenter, Adam Wainwright, and early in the season, he would pull them. Maybe 90 pitches, he would pull them. And then there was a date. It wasn't official, but like for us watching, it was like May 15th, right around there. It was like when those guys were out there, that's when he started to ride them and say, hey, you guys are going to go. So I think early in the season, it's smart to make sure you're limiting innings, making sure guys are fresh for that stretch run and down the end. And, I think that's what they're doing here.
Is it the kind of thing that if it works, you would want to do it for an entire season? Would you, or would you like to pull it back at some point and go back to a 5-man?
I'm actually surprised that with all the changes that have happened, that somebody hasn't really taken a serious shot at it to see what it does. I wonder what the analytics say on that. Players obviously aren't going to like it because they're not going to get as many games started, and that's going to affect, a lot of different things, statistics, which ultimately affect payroll, right? So I'm surprised that nobody's taken a shot at it and said, hey, we think that this is going to, having a positive effect on pitchers' arms or whatnot. But I think, they've been doing 5-man for a long time. I would imagine they're going to stay there until somebody, looks at the numbers and says, hey, we think this is going to be beneficial, and kind of sticks with it.
Kyle McClellan with us here on the Gashouse Gang. Hey, listen, I just wanted to ask you this because it's been a long time since you pitched, obviously, but you seem to have really transitioned into a really positive, happy, meaningful life. I know sometimes when baseball ends, as far as being a hitter or a pitcher, it could be a little tough, but how do you think you were able to transition so well and, sort of have a second life as a civilian?
Yeah, I think for me always, baseball was never my identity, right? It was what I was blessed with the ability to do, and given a really great platform to do it. And I always knew that I wanted to use that platform while I was playing and when I was done, to help other people. And I had a long enough career that I was able to do it, and and post career be able to dedicate my time to it. And then my kids too. Like I coach both my kids, and I spend a ton of time. There's between the two of them, we practice 4 nights a week, and I think we go every weekend from mid-March till July 22nd. I think we play every weekend between the two of them, and I get to be there for that, and so that's important to me. And I've been able to carve out, a lifestyle of things that I do where I still keep involved with the organization and keep my foot in the door there, but also get to do the other things with our charity, making sure we're continuing to grow and help as many as people as we can here locally and in Haiti, but also to be there for my kids. Those are things that I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss those days, and not just my kids, but all the other kids that I get to be involved with and help coach. And I've had to turn down some opportunities and some things that, that maybe I would have liked to pursue professionally. But to me, it's this is where I want to be and what I want to be doing, and I get to do both sides of it. So it's been good. But I think it all comes down to, I always knew baseball was going to end at some point, and always kind of had in my head of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to transition. And thankfully, getting to play in my hometown has opened up a lot of opportunities for me.
Brace for Impact 46 is that charity you're talking about, and you guys have been doing a lot of good work there, Kyle.
Yeah, it's been fun. We work in Haiti and in North City, St. Louis, and both projects that we do and partners we have are amazing, and it's fun to watch. It's been a tough run here in Haiti for the last several years. Anybody that has been following the news there knows what's going on. But our team has been remarkable. All of our programs are still going, and we've actually expanded. We actually just added a soccer academy. We're building a new soccer field down there right now, and we have actually a kid that was just on the U17 Haiti team that just qualified for the World Cup, which is pretty cool, from our community, our goalie that came out of our academy, which is awesome. We're building a surgery center right now to help provide surgeries in the community. And so our team continues to go. Our school grows. We have over 700 kids in our school now, providing for kids at our children's home and all these different things. And then North St. Louis, our partner, is just doing a great job and working with families there and housing there. It's been remarkable. So it's been a lot of fun. We have a lot of great supporters that have been with us from day one and continue to grow. And our supporters make it possible for us to go out and do the work we do.
Kyle, we're still in the period, the baseball season, it's early. The Cardinals are 18 games in. What are your impressions of the team? What do you like? What are your concerns?
I think you have opportunity for young guys. And look, at any time, when I was playing, you're like, man, Cincinnati's got a lot of young guys coming up, and they're getting the opportunity to go and get the experience, and they're dangerous, right? They're hungry, they're dangerous. And you look at the Cardinals, and they have a lot of those young guys that are trying to establish themselves as major league players. And when you have that, there's a lot on the line for those guys, and you're getting everything they got every single day. And I think that's a really great thing to have. If you mix in some of the older guys and veteran guys as well to kind of help with that. So I like the young guys. I like the young talent. It's just a matter of putting it together and being consistent, right? And dealing with injuries is always going to be what every team has to deal with. But if starting pitching can do what it's done so far this year, you really like the bullpen, obviously, and the offense has been, outstanding. They're going to have a chance. The Central's not the strongest division. And so you're going to have a chance to go out there. And I think this team's going to get better as they go, as they get some more experience and get more consistent playing time for those young guys. But I think there's a lot of young talent to like. It's just how quick can those guys develop and be contributors at this level.
In terms of the bullpen, which you did mention, they have gotten solid work out of the pen. And when you have newcomers and knowing that bullpens are volatile, or they can be volatile year to year, when do you feel like you're really comfortable knowing in a season, once a season starts, when do you feel like you're comfortable knowing what the pen actually is?
Well, I think it starts at the back end, right? And you got Helsley, who you feel really good about. So that's a big part. From there, you start building backwards. Really, the bullpen is tied to the starting pitching, right? So, starting pitching, if they're going 4 or 5 innings and getting out of there, your bullpen, it might be fine for a little bit. And I know we've got some guys that have thrown quite a bit already. They've been in around 10 games already out of 18, which is a pretty good clip. How long can they sustain that? So those starters at some point are going to have to go deeper, take some pressure off the bullpen. I say all the time, I'm sure I've said it on here, but Chris Carpenter used to have a saying, as a starting pitcher, if you want to win, you better go 7 and hand it off to your setup guy and your closer. If you don't go 7 and the bullpen blows it, that's your fault because you didn't go deep enough to set them up, and you got to take pressure off them. If you're asking 4 or 5 guys to come in out of the bullpen in a game and every one of them to have a good night, there's a chance one of them is going to be off, right? And so you want to go as deep as you can, take some pressure off and some innings off those other guys coming out of the pen. And it's a long season, so I think as you get about halfway, I think if you start looking at appearances and innings that those guys have had and see if they're able to sustain that pace, I think is a big part.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on Steven Matz? I tell you what, I get fired up reading about him and his attitude about, in other words, however you want to use me this year is fine. I just want to pitch and want to help the team. He's looked good as a reliever. Do you still like the idea of him being a starting pitcher and a good one if he can stay healthy?
Yeah, I mean, he's interesting, right? I mean, ever since he's been with the team, I would say he's been interesting. And I don't think we've seen him to what, they had originally signed him for. But I tell you what, going out what he did yesterday, I mean, he can do it. He's done it in the past, and he signed a deal here for a reason. And that attitude, I think that comes from, a guy that's been around and understands, like, hey man, I just want to be on a winning team, and whatever that means, I got to do. I'm willing to do it, which you love that. But I do think it's important to have a guy that can do both of those, that can step in and start when I mean, you have some guys you're leaning on the rotation that are somewhat question mark of can they do this for a whole season? And as you guys know as good as anybody, you're going to need a handful of those guys, those starting pitchers and those innings to cover. So I think having him to be able to do both until maybe he really settles in and says, hey, this is the best role for me. And this is where I have, the most success with this team and how I can help the team most. But having a guy that can do both and plug him in on a start and say, hey, we know he can give us a quality start, there's a lot of value to that.
In terms of the offense, Kyle, they have been producing a lot of runs this year, some of the best in baseball at that. They have hit for average. They have gotten on base. The power numbers are about average as far as home runs go. But this team they're getting on base. They're slugging otherwise, and they're hitting for average. How much of this can they keep up, do you think?
That's what I said. I like it. You got some younger guys they're trying to establish themselves, and I think it's exciting. They're also stealing some bases, which is kind of fun to see. Going out there and playing a little different style ball. So, in today's game of launch angles and hitting and all that kind of stuff, it's like Jordan Walker. It just seems like maybe he's a little bit more comfortable with who he is as a hitter, and going out there has a little better solid approach than the years past that we've seen. And obviously everybody's heard about the ups and downs of hitting the ball too much on the ground and whatnot. Like, just go out and hit the ball hard, just go hit it hard and see what happens, and kind of clear all that other stuff out of your head. So, I mean, it's hard to doubt the offense and what they've done so far and the numbers they've put up, and hopefully they're able to continue that.
What do you make of one thing with the team? With Contreras moving to first base, it looks like the catchers are doing a heck of a job, and boy, the offense they're producing is really a pleasant surprise. But how do you think that's going to shake up? And how do you rate, like, say, Ivan Herrera and Pedro Pages? Do you think Pages gives them a bigger edge defensively? How would you balance that if you were managing the Cardinals?
Yeah, I think time will tell on that a little bit, because on the offensive side, especially, as you guys know, the more you get out there, the more you get, I won't say exposed, but the more you're exposed to other teams where they have a better plan for you. And so the offensive side, will be interesting to see, how those guys are attacked. For a while, you can get away with just like, yeah, he's just batting here, we're not really sure, kind of take this approach. And all of a sudden you start making some noise, and then all of a sudden those meetings get a little more detailed around your name and your spot in the lineup. So it'll be interesting to see how teams attack them, but they're certainly giving an offensive boost to what they're doing. And Herrera, I think, to have two of them that you can throw in there, and keep those guys fresh is huge. I think they're going to, get, fairly even split there in time to where they can kind of help each other stay fresh and get going. But I think they're doing a really good job behind the plate. The offense they're providing has been awesome. But, the most impressive part is they're coming in there handling that staff and doing a good job and throwing runners out and, really, really doing a good job. So for them to stay healthy and to be able to share both of those roles, I think is a great thing.
Kyle McClellan is the host of the Chatters Box podcast, which you can find on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, the Odyssey app. You can listen to it there as well. Your most recent guest, Larry Walker, and this one just posted this week.
Yeah, that was fun. We were up in Cooperstown. We did this last September as a part of our fantasy camp, and sat him down, which was awesome. Being in Cooperstown to be able to sit down with him there at Doubleday Field and talk to him about his journey and path to the Hall of Fame. He's such a great guy and a great storyteller. And I actually shared a couple of moments that I remember with him when I was playing, and he came and sat in our dugout when we were in Colorado. He was actually in a Cardinal uniform, sitting in our dugout and hanging out with us and riding on our bus back to the hotel. And he's just a funny guy. And there's a couple stories that I remembered that he thought was pretty funny. Playing cards with him. There's a funny line. He said he kept buying back in. We were up in, I think, Kyle Loesch's suite, and there's a bunch of guys up there, and we just wanted to hang around with Larry Walker, and we're playing cards, and he kept buying back in. He kept losing and buying back in, and we're like, gosh, usually there's a limit on how many times you can buy back in, but nobody wanted to say anything. And his famous line was, I might run out of time, I might run out of patience, but I will never run out of money.
That's exactly what I heard.
He kept buying back in, and then ended up he won the whole thing, and nobody had the heart to tell him that, hey, you're only supposed to buy back one more time.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll be listening in the podcast, YouTube, Odyssey app, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. It's called the Chatters Box. His latest guest is Larry Walker. We appreciate it, Kyle McClellan. Good to talk to you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
It is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. And Bernie, as we go to break, tell everybody about our friends at Saliga.
I'm always proud to talk about Saliga. They've been around, the family, continuously owned since 1927. Dan Saliga is the fourth owner operator of this great family business. And they're bigger and stronger and better than ever. And they've been great since 1927. But our experience, and we've been a Saliga family for about 17 years now, going on 17 years. You're never sure who to call when you don't have someone like Saliga Heating and Cooling. You're not sure which way to go. And we were like that a long time ago, but we called Saliga because we heard good things about them. And listen, I feel proud to tell you that they're just excellent at what they do, and they're excellent the way they treat their customers. In our experience, I mean, there's no shady stuff. There's no trying to talk you into stuff. There's no trying to sell you something or get you to buy something more expensive, upselling. They play it straight. They look to save you money. They're prompt. They're on time. When they come in your home, they're professional. They're classy. They treat you and your home with respect. And if you ever have a problem, man, you call there at Saliga Heating and Cooling, and you'll get someone on the phone, and help will be on the way. I mean, they're just so organized and so knowledgeable. So it's a great operation. It's an independent American standard heating and air conditioning dealer. So they have that American standard heating and air equipment that sets the standard in the industry. And they do all, makes and models. They do residential work, commercial work. I want to tell you to look at the Priority Club. It's a maintenance program. Preventative maintenance can really help you save money because your equipment will last longer. That's been our experience. Also gives you the peace of mind knowing that everything's working as it should be. And they come out and check it a couple times a year. Just adjust it, take care of little tweaks here and there, and then you're all set. And that way it'll save you money because everything's running great. So take a look at that, and take a look at the phone number, everything else, by going to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. That's SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
When you retire, the paycheck from your job will likely stop. But here's what won't stop: bills, taxes, and medical issues. Sure, there's Social Security, but that may not be enough. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group can show you potential ways to develop a new stream of income that can last as long as you live. Kind of like having your own personal pension. You won't have to worry about whether the market is up or down or who's sitting in the White House. You can spend your time instead on the things that matter, like family, friends, and doing the things you never had time to do before. Call Steve All today at 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824 and schedule a custom income review at no charge. Or find us online at yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice.
Farming's hard. To feed the world, farmers have to work the land, brave the elements, and fight the battle against weeds. Weeds reduce crop yields, so prices go up and everybody gets less to eat. But 50 years ago, farmers got a new tool to fight weeds, glyphosate. It kills weeds while protecting the harvest. Time and again, it has been approved by the EPA and by leading regulatory bodies around the world. It helps enable practices that reduce erosion and keep soil healthy, which is good for the earth. Farming's hard, but it's a little easier with glyphosate. Learn more at go.bayer.com/glyphosate, paid for by Bayer.
This May, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is coming back to St. Louis. Join us at Energizer Park for the round of 32 as St. Louis City SC plays for this historic trophy. Get tickets now at stlcity.com/Open Cup.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother got life insurance from Ethos, and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
If you have been in a car accident in the past and have settled your case, I may have some good news. Some unethical lawyers have people known as runners who come directly to your hospital room or home and solicit your case. It's a disbarable offense. Anyone that would hire these scumbags needs to have their heads examined. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Now for the good news. If this happened to you, we will sue these lowlifes and fight to get all your fees back. And then look and see if these bottom feeders also malpractice your case and sue them for that too. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Visit forthepeople.com for a free consultation or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. If someone does this to you, call the Bar Association and report them. Let's fight these bums. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Now, back to the Gashouse Gang on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1120 AM, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
The Gashouse Gang is sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Bernie Miklas and Chris Ranji. We have just a few more moments here, and I feel bad that we've not left a whole lot of time to talk Blues, who do know when they're playing. It's going to be Saturday at 5 o'clock, Bernie, game 1 against Winnipeg.
I really think it's going to be a great series because I look at the Blues as a separate team. They became the Blues when Jim Montgomery took over as coach. So from the time he took over as coach, the Blues have played 60 games. And during that same time, Winnipeg has played 60 games. So both of these teams have played 60 games since Monty became the Blues coach. And Winnipeg only had 3 more points in the standings than the Blues did at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the Blues and Winnipeg are, since that time, they are 2 of the 3 best teams in the league at 5-on-5, where they get a really terrific share of the goals scored at 5-on-5. So I think this is a terrific matchup. And I think the Blues are going to give them a heck of a fight. I mean, I know the Blues will be an underdog. They should be. Winnipeg had the best record in the league. But this one's going to be really tough hockey. There's not going to be a lot of open space out there. And I think the Blues can play that kind of game well. So I just look for a great series.
It'll be fun. Starts on Saturday. That's game 1. Tonight, Cardinals play the Mets, beginning of a 4-game series. 6:10 first pitch, 5:15 pregame. It's here on KMOX. Bernie Miklas, we will talk to you on Tuesday with the manager, Ollie Marmol, who joins the show. Good to see you, Bernie. I'm Chris Ranji. Coming up next, it is the Dave Glover Show. Anything you missed on the Gashouse Gang is on the Odyssey app. Download it to your phone.